We're going to cover the exact objection handling process of one of my most recent sales calls. 90% of people who come to me have the same problem. They can't actually overcome objections and navigate a close. But the real problem is that they're not actually crystallizing objections into simple concerns that can be overcome. And so by the end of this video, you're going to have the exact process that anybody can use regardless of skill to navigate objection handling and get to the close without coming off as pushy. So that way you can commit more people to your product or service and make more commission. Right over here, and we're going to start off at 38 minutes into a call that runs for an hour and 6 minutes. This is when I asked for the order the first time, and I'm going to give you my thoughts as we go through it start to finish, explaining what I'm doing so you can use the same. Now, there's some things that I do earlier on in the call to help pre-handle objections, and that will be covered in another video. But let's go ahead and jump into it.
Okay. Well, cool. Well, I don't really have anything else to run through with you. Really, the next steps would be to put together an arrangement for the investment itself. It's 10,000 for the 3 months, and you're a student, and I do appreciate finances might be a concern, so we do have some options on that. But yeah, then from there, we organize the investment. I get you into the program. From there, get you connected with your coach, and then we're off to the races over the next 3 months as we bring this into fruition.
All right.
Would that be a good next step, or where would you like to go from here?
Yeah, so this semester is kind of tight just because I'm working stuff, I'm figuring stuff out. It would be irresponsible for me to take that right now, especially maybe even in November. Starting in December would probably be when I'm able to actually like get into it and start like talks. And then once I finish this semester is probably when I'd be able to actually make that investment.
Okay, so right there we got a pretty heavy objection. Watch how I approach it, and I'm going to give you my thoughts in real time so you understand what I'm doing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, help me understand too. Well, because you are like a student and you're doing different stuff. Logistically speaking, like is 10,000 for 3 months of coaching something that is within the budget, or do you feel like we would need options on that?
So I have
So the first thing that I went to is I want to understand his financial situation to see if this is something he could even do. The reason why I do that is because the end all ultimate goal of this call is to commit him today. And I need to know if he has the financial resources to commit today so I can try to solve to get there. Because truthfully, if he doesn't have the money, there's no way I could get him to buy even if I wanted to. So I'm going to start and understand what he could pay if we were to get started. And that's the commitment I'm going to try to get later.
in personal finances, I've got about 3,000 right now, but then with the business accounts that I've already established and stuff, I've got 8,000. So I
Okay.
have 10,000 capital, but I've got to pay rent and stuff. I'm not making too much money right now. So, but that is something I could reasonably pay for. It might be a little tight at the end, but it is something I
Okay.
could probably make happen. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, well, logistically speaking, as far as time, I know that you're a student right now, but do you feel like, if you were to get, started on this, is this something that you'd be able to allocate time to or would be able to pursue?
Right now, no. Next semester, yeah, just because I am taking.
So that question was to actually clarify what the actual concern was. So it's not money because he can afford the program. And as he told me, he has the full $10,000. He has 3,000 liquid and 8,000 in another account. So there's a reality in which I can get a deposit or some sort of commitment today if I do my job properly, and he gives me all the cues to. Now what I want to understand is the second concern, which is the time, which is what he told me earlier. Now isn't a good time for this. This is when I'm going to begin going into the objection handling process. I've now clarified an actual concern. This is the first place where a lot of people go wrong, is they fail to take what your counterpart says and begin checking the boxes to figure out what the actual objection is. Right now, the first concern I'm going to try to overcome is that now isn't the right time because of things that are taking up my time. And I want to try to help him see that those things he thinks are taking his time aren't actually going to prevent him from getting results if he committed.
Probably around 3 classes next semester, and they're going to be all lined up at the end of the week, and they're in the afternoon. So I'd have a lot of time in the mornings and like Monday through Wednesday to work on personal stuff, which would include
Okay.
this.
Okay. Well, cool. And then let's say we were meeting in December, hypothetically, right? Let's say today was December,
Yeah.
when timing's right. Do you feel like this is something you try?
Yeah, I might have more questions if I'm able to think of them in December, but I mean, 10,000's it's bigger than what, because original consulting is what, 15 or 2,000?
2,500.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's
So that next question I asked right there is okay. So I understand that timing would be a concern. This isn't what I said, but the logic of what I'm doing is I want to try to see if there's actually enough value for him to do the program under the right circumstances. So that question, assuming the concerns you have weren't real, would you do it? So assuming today was a better day, would you actually commit? And he says that he would. So what I know for certain is that he can afford the program, and under the right circumstances, he would commit. He just believes that his current circumstances aren't the right one. And it's my job, once again, to help reframe that and help him see that now is the time to take action. But I was only able to get there because I know he can afford it and I know that he would want to do it. Those are two crucial boxes to tick before you begin figuring out or solving the real concern. What I don't want to do is solve the why now concern without knowing if this is something he actually wanted to do and without knowing if he can afford it. Because I can put a lot of pressure, but if he can't actually purchase, or if I can lean in, it's like trying to put water through a hose that's clogged. So I have to make sure there's an actual commitment I can get.
A little bit bigger than that, but it's
Just a little.
yeah, it seems more targeted just because obviously original consulting had, I think, 7 weeks, and this is broken down into like 3 stages, and it seems more concise. And just with the like accountability, it seems like you said, it's like
Just for context, this was actually me selling for a very big name program. For those of you that are familiar with what I'm talking about, or if you can figure it out, comment it down below. I'd be surprised. It's a little Easter egg. But this is one of the most popular programs in the coaching consulting space. It's under new ownership. And yeah, this was when I was doing a brief consulting project for them. I hopped on some sales calls just for some background.
steroids.
Yeah.
So it's
Well, I
definitely
mean, bigger picture, right? Like hypothetically,
yeah.
if the timing was good and everything, do you feel like it's something, you potentially try? You could see yourself, using to get yourself off the ground.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a crucial question because what I'm wanting to do, I want to ramp up his commitment for wanting to try. So first I asked, assuming that today was a better day, let's say we were to meet in December or we were having a conversation at a better time, would you do it? Yes. Okay, and now I'm going to ask, well, I know that things are crazy now, but hypothetically, if things weren't, would you do it? Yes. So I'm ramping up his commitment to want to try. Not only am I helping him understand his level of commitment, but I'm understanding for myself to see how I can make it real for him. Because if he wants to commit, but just can't get out of his own way too, it is my duty to help make that a reality for him.
Well, can I make a suggestion?
This is where I go into a reframe. Before you reframe or give somebody a new way of thinking, you need to make sure they are listening. And the best way to do that is ask them, could I give you my perspective or could I give you a question? Because when they say yes, they now go into a listening mode and what you say will sink in as opposed to telling them things.
Yeah.
So I agree that it'd be tricky to push pretty hard in the business because, you're a student and, it's sort of the end of the quarter semester when it comes to being a student, right? And that's when you've got finals and tests and all that and just regular life and parents and whatnot, however involved you are there. But my concern is that it has been 3 years regarding your business and getting momentum, and you've still got responsibilities for yourself and your own standards to get this going. And my concern is that if we're not able, if there's not a way to get you educated or at least some sort of momentum, even if it's imperfect action, we don't actually get you any closer to having a foundation for 4,000. And also, praying on the perfect time for things to begin to do it is tricky because then you need perfect circumstances to work, right? And we know how life goes. It's rarely ever like that. So if there was a way for us to potentially structure something custom, for you, and I'd honestly probably get kickback from the team, but a way that would allow you to support your development that would make financial sense and time sense, do you feel like that's something you might be open to?
Yeah, just because I have one professor who like kind of breathes down my neck a little bit just with like due dates, but I feel like I do possibly have a little room to breathe. And so, yeah, if there was something customized, I might be able to.
Okay, so write this one down. This is one of the most powerful statements that you can use. It's the best way to help your counterparts see that you are on their side of the table. I'm there to help you. It's called the I agree, but I'm concerned. So I agree that your circumstances might make it difficult for you to take action. So agree on what the problem is. I agree that right now might be difficult for you because of the problems you are facing. But my concern, and now you want to give a genuine concern most of the time, which is I concerned that if this objection exists, you're not going to get the results you want. So I agree that right now might be difficult for you to take action, but I'm concerned that if we can't figure out a way for you to actually approach your goals when things are difficult, you're not actually going to get any closer. So it's a good way to address the limiting belief without saying they have a limiting belief, because if you tell them, they'll push back on you. And it's a way to say that in an empathetic manner so they feel like you're on their side of the table. Once more, I agree on the problems that you are facing right now, but I'm concerned that if we don't find a way to overcome these, you won't get what you want. And the final piece is restating what they said they wanted. What he wants is $4,000 a month in income so he can comfortably live on his own and not need a job. So I agree that right now things are tough. I'm concerned if we don't figure out a way to make it happen, you won't get the things that you want. One of the most powerful statements in objection handling.
Pull it off.
Okay. Well, cool. So
another key thing that I mentioned there as well is if there was a way for us to help overcome those challenges, would you take action? So if there was a way for us to make it so that this fits your schedule or this fits your budget, and if you're dealing with other concerns, you could say so that your partner's on board or we don't offend your partner, or so that your team's on board or so that it meets your scheduling. If there was a way for us to make this fit or work with the challenges you're facing, do you think that you would take action? And if they say yes, now you want to begin providing them logical solutions to overcome their challenge.
well, as far as actual capital goes, so you mentioned you've got 8 in a business account that's California's going to take their piece of, and you've got 3 for yourself personally. What are your expenses each month, just roughly? Like how much capital do you need to keep for yourself to know that you're sane and keeping food on the fridge or lights on?
So right now, I want to be a trusted advisor and try to convey as much as possible that I'm there for him. But also, I need to know what commitment I should ask for. So he says that he has $3,000 cash and $8,000 in a business account. My first thought is, well, you have that money, but you also have bills. So let's figure out how much you're spending, how much you're making, because I want to figure out what I want to ask him for. And a really crucial thing is you want to make sure you're asking for something that they can do. I never want to make an ask that they can't make happen, because that is what it's called non-compliance. I never want to ask them to do something and get a no or pushback or resistance, because that builds a frame or a pattern to which they can deny or push back on my ideas. And as much as that's okay, that's just not a pattern or a cadence that I want to have. So I want to prevent that by getting as much data as possible to figure out what the perfect ask is that is reasonable for him today.
So I pay $900 in rent, and then
That's good for California. Damn.
yeah, well, I'm sharing a room, so and I'm trying to get on CalFresh just because I don't make enough money right now, and I was on it last semester, and so that pays for food quite well, and it actually puts money back in my pocket. I don't drive the most efficient car, and it's about $100 a tank, and I get a new tank like once every 3 weeks. So that's, I don't know, over the course of 3 months, that's like $400.
Yeah. Well, so let's do the sum total for now until you'd be able to, until when you felt like, when would be like the perfect time in your mind when you think about like perfect circumstances after tests and stuff is ended? You said December or November?
Yeah, December.
So now that I have a good idea of how much that he's making, I want to clarify when he feels like would be a good day. Because if he feels like a good day is years away, it's going to be hard for me to rationalize or reframe for that to become today. But if he feels like a good day is next week or 3 days from now, or even this Friday, I can rationalize to make today a better moment to take action. I want to figure out how big the gap is between when he thinks he should take action and when I think is a good time, or when now might be a better time to take action. If there's a very big gap between when they would like to do something and when something should be done, it's harder to close it's harder to close that gap as opposed to if there's a really short time window.
And that's actually, I think it's
Also, another really good exercise I did is clarify their expenses, and then I'm going to clarify his income. Oftentimes, your counterpart thinks that they make more money than they do, or that they spend more money than they do, and it's not until you actually have them spell it out right there for you that you realize their situation isn't as bad, or might be worse than it is. In his situation, it wasn't actually as bad as he thought it was.
exactly 3 months from today is when my finals are over for this semester.
Okay. So your next 3 months of expenses, grand total, ballpark, what do you feel like that would come out to?
400, 2,700, add in food. Or let's take food out because I'm going to get CalFresh.
Let's put it in conservative. I want to make sure that
conservative.
you're still eating, worst case.
Extra conservative. So $4,000 would probably be max.
Okay. So that would get you for the next 3 months. And do you have an income currently from any outside stuff you do?
Yeah, so I work part-time at Tilly's, the clothing store, and
Mhm.
that's minimum wage. I get about 8 hours a week, and so
Okay.
that's what's that? 60 hours, or that's $60 a week. Which, damn, saying that out loud is it's funny. So 8 times 16 hour. Yeah, so that's actually no, it's 120 a week. Yeah, so I'm getting about 120 a week from there, and then I work off hours at a machine shop. I'm lucky if I get 8 hours a week, so I'll say 6. I make 25 an hour there.
Mhm.
So that's a total of about 300
Each month?
or actually, yeah, I did that math wrong. So that's 128 a week times 4. So that's about $500 a month from Tilly's.
So if you notice, when the camera panned to me for a minute there, I had a bit of a stupid look on my face. Whenever I'm going through these exercises, I genuinely am curious, and I want to show that I'm curious, or that I'm detached, or that I'm skeptical, and that I'm listening, and that my focus isn't on the sale. If you're too focused on the sale, your counterpart will see that in your energy and your presence, just because you'll be staring at them or giving a very nervous energy. I want to actually shift my state and try to take on the perception and genuinely feel my curiosity, which is I'm genuinely curious about how much he's making. And so I want him to walk himself through this exercise. Now, he's not so much telling me, but he's telling himself how much he's making, and that's going to help me make the commitment seem more reasonable, because he has more cash than he thinks he does, and his situation's not as bad as he was making it out to be.
And then 5 times 25 is 125 times 4. That's 500. So I get about 1,000 a month.
Okay. So we need 4,000 to get you through, and you get about $1,000 a month. And do you see any reason why your income would be not $1,000 a month over the next 3 months?
If I don't keep hours at that machine shop, it would be significantly less, just because they pay $10 an hour more. But Tilly's is coming into their busier season, so I should be able to pick up a little bit more work.
Okay. Well, so that would be 3,000 coming in conservatively, 4,000
Yeah.
going out, which leaves you at a 1,000 deficit. So if you just kept your current cash as is, then you'd still have a pretty sizable buffer. You'd have essentially 3 months worth of runway, which is not bad for in your 20s, which leaves you the 8 in the business account. You're on the same page as far as math?
Yeah.
So
Sweet. So I know ethically and morally that if I'm going to ask for a large commitment out of him, it's not going to ruin him financially. This is a really important thing as a sales professional. You have a moral obligation to do a service for your counterpart. And now that I know that if he were to buy the program, he would still be okay, it makes it easier for me to find and feel comfortable helping him find a commitment. But also, it's important for him to know, because I don't want money to be the thing that stops him, because the reason why he's here is because he doesn't have enough money. So there's not a reality in which he doesn't commit and then magically makes more to afford my program.
you'd be open to potentially doing, because I know it's 10 for 3 months, what we could do is if you were comfortable doing half down, we could do half down and extend it, pretty much give you 6 months access, and we'll do the other half at the end of December, once you sort of got the remaining amount of time. And for your first 3 months, we won't be as intensive with the coaching and the one-on-ones, but we'll give you full access to everything, and we'll still be there to do support. And we'll pretty much say for January 1st at the end of December, once you finish off, that's when we go hard in the paint with coaching, and then we're going to hold you hard for the first 3 months as far as accountability goes in executing. Is that something that you feel like might work, or what are your thoughts
Yeah.
on that?
Yeah. So with the business account, when I think I have to maintain $5,000 in there, and that's so I'd be able to pay the half on the. Yeah, technically I could do the half, still have it. So yeah, I'd be open to that.
Okay.
Excellent. So just like that, I've now found a reasonable commitment he can do today. So one thing that I did, and this is something that you should definitely do as a sales professional or someone who's working in sales, is be comfortable flexing the terms of your deal, payment terms and time terms, to make it more reasonable for your counterpart to commit. So we went from this isn't a good time for me to do something to what if we put half of the price of the program down now, double the amount of time that you had with us, and we'll collect the second half and we'll add more accountability later. Even though the deliverables of the program don't change, what changes is just the framing and his perspective of it and the significance of the commitment. I definitely recommend that you watch this back and listen to how I was able to baby step him to a commitment that makes sense. We went from I don't think this is good right now to I'll put half of the purchase price of the program down today.
Cool. So yeah, so pretty much we do half down, Well, so as far as the program, we'd extend it. We'd run 6 months. We give you the rest of the
Yeah.
year, and then we give you 3 additional months of extra. Like that's when we go hard with coaching. Your first 3 months are just like, here's everything. Go through it, take your notes, understand all of it, and then when we get to coaching, we're already speaking the same terminology. 5 for the first 3. End of December, start of January, we do another 5. Then that's when we go hard on the pain and coaching, and then at the end of that 90 days, that's when we're really
Mhm.
going to pin you to getting this thing off the ground. Is that a structure, or does that make sense to you? You feel like that would work?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sweet. So I told them the commitment once, and now I'm going to tell them the commitment again because what I want is a real, authentic yes, meaning that makes sense for me. I don't want him just to say, yeah, and then I assume that he's ready to go. I want to say it again and get a congruent yes. That makes sense for me. I would do that.
Okay, cool. So regarding the payments itself, I've got the link on my side of it. It would literally take like 2 seconds or so. Is that something you'd be comfortable, getting going today? And then, when your head hits the pillow tonight, you've got accelerator, all the steroid stuff that comes with it, and we could do, maybe a check-in with one of your coaches, and then we're off to the races.
Today,
Now that I've figured out what a good commitment is, it's time to ask for the order again. And oftentimes, the deal isn't done. I'm about halfway through my objection handling cycle. There's much more to come.
would it be all right to push it 1 week? Because I've got a hard deadline of a big presentation that I have not started, and so also I just need to move some money around from savings into checking and stuff just to get that sorted.
Yeah. So effectively, pretty much, it's like logistics between money's got to get moved. You mentioned too, your business account has to keep 5.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think if I don't keep 5, they pull out. It's just the like minimum amount that you
Yeah.
have to have in an account, so they don't finish stuff.
Yeah, no, I get you on that. It's stupid that banks do that, sort of the minimum holding. Each bank's
Yeah.
different. Yeah, well, so that wouldn't be a problem. Well, can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
So if you're comfortable with that, pretty much we do 5 in a week, and we get you 30 days or 90 days access just to the program and all that comes with it, and then 5 at the end of December. That's when you get things rocking.
So now I want to keep my intent hidden. I don't want to just push back and begin doing mindset stuff. The reason why he's not buying isn't because he doesn't want to do it. There's simply something logistically, either time-wise or physically preventing him from making a payment. Now, a big place where people go wrong is you go into a bunch of mindset stuff at this point in time. He doesn't need mindset reframes. He does not need behavioral change. He wants to do the right thing, which is commit. I just need to help figure out what is logistically stopping him. Do you not have your card? Will your bank not approve the payment? What actually is stopping you? And let's logically overcome that. This is where I go into the call next.
Going to the races. What we could do, or typically what we do in a situation like this is if you know your payment details, we just sort of drop them down on our side and we'd schedule it to run in a week. And I'll talk with the team. We can put together sort of like a free or just little bonus or a little welcome thing that we send you. Maybe even get Rian just to say hi and welcome you to the program. And then, yeah, we pretty much schedule it to run in a week. And then if there's any hiccups between now and then, just let us know. We can postpone it. Do you feel like that might work with you?
Yeah.
So now what I want to do is now that I've gotten the commitment, I'm not going to let him off the hook. He can't spend the money can't leave his account, but the next level of commitment I can get is his payment details, or what's sometimes called an open wallet test, where I'll put his payment details on file and then we will just schedule his card to be billed on a later day when he can spend the money. That way I leave the meeting today with an actual commitment that's been done, signed, and made, and all I have to do is schedule deposit. Now, it is a million times easier to collect payment details from a card that you have when someone's made a commitment than it is to collect payment from someone who's not giving you payment details. Now, understand that actually following this call, and I could make another video if you guys are curious, let me know down below, of me actually before we ran his payment details, he had some last minute resistance, and I actually had to take another meeting with him and do a little bit more objection handling. But this video is purely just to show you what is possible with the right process if someone could commit today.
Okay, cool. So
So I lowered the commitment to, well, let's just put your payment details on file. We'll give you a little warm welcome, and then we'll schedule the payment to run later. Does that work with you? And he says yes. Now I have to figure out how to get him to take action, physically go move and get the payment details so we can get things going.
I guess a notepad on my side. Yeah. So as far as your business, do you have like a business debit, credit, or?
One of the most important things at this point in the call is to stay calm, cool, and relaxed, and don't put too much pressure on them immediately to go do something. You really want to ease them into it and stay really lax, that you shouldn't feel a change in your energy now that you've gotten what you've wanted. You want to keep your agenda and intent hidden, so watch how sly I am with my language. Well, I think I have a notepad here somewhere. But help me understand, would that be a debit or credit? I'm going to slowly get more information out of him and work this commitment into fruition.
Or sorry, how is that structured?
So I've got a checking savings account. I've got a card, and I forget where I put that card. I think it's in a case that I have. It might not be with me at the moment. Just because I think that's back in my hometown. The actual like debit card, but I do have access to like the banking information.
Okay, yeah, that should work. So when you say banking information, would it be like routing, accounting, and just additional? Yeah, shouldn't be an issue. So yeah, I'll give you a moment to prep that and just let me know when you're ready.
And just like that, we have overcome all his concerns and we got a commitment today. So if you thought that was cool, drop a like on this video so more people can see it. And if you want to get more practical sales training just like this that you can use to overcome concerns and close more deals, subscribe to my channel. More importantly, click the first link down below to join my Persuasion Academy. It is a free group where I give away sales coaching, courses, and training to teach you guys how to become more proficient at selling. I want to help practical and useful sales information get into the hands of more people so they can close more deals without coming off as pushy and sell more effectively in today's day and age. And for those of you guys who've made it this far, I have a special bonus for you. What if I told you that there was actually more to this call? If you saw in the scrub bar, we didn't get all the way to the end. There was a couple more concerns I had to strategically overcome to get credit card details today. What I got was his banking information, but the problem was I couldn't use that to actually deposit cash from his account to ours and get a true payment method on file for us to collect $5,000 later. So if you want to see the second part or the continuation with my commentary, click the link right here and watch the next video, and I'll see you there.